Welcome to the Buck and Mike Experience.
Experience sports like you never have before.
Where the buck stops.
And the mic drops.
Bam. And we are back. Well, guys, it's been a nice, 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's been about a month and a half.
Yeah, about a month and a half. For multiple reasons. One being we work in a scalding hot garage. Two being it was time. We needed a break.
There wasn't a lot going on.
There was a lot. We built into, and now where we're at, everything's going to start ramping up. We've got playoff races. We've got Women's World Cup, NFL. There's plenty of things going on right now, so we'll definitely be able to get rocking and rolling. Fantasy football. I don't know about you, but I've got like 2 drafts this weekend.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yeah.
This early?
This early. I've already done 2 dynasty drafts, and I've got 2 drafts.
No.
I have a draft at 11 a.m. Saturday, 7:30 p.m. Saturday, and then another one in 2 weeks after that.
I would never draft before the 4th preseason game.
I'm not the commissioner.
Like, I'm okay with drafting in between the 3rd and 4th, but I would not draft before that. Yeah. That's nonsense.
It scares me with all the injuries, especially as you've seen so many guys already get things that are, even if they're small things, nagging stuff. We're talking Cup with a hamstring, Burrow with a calf strain.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing that says, don't get me wrong, there's been injuries.
Well, Tim Patrick.
Yeah, Tim Patrick, that guy can't catch a break.
Yeah. Like, Denver itself just right now with receivers. First, Tim Patrick tore his Achilles, and then KJ Hamler comes out having it is called pericarditis, which is a heart condition. He ended up getting that, and then they cut him.
They cut him after
that? Yeah, they cut him.
Dang,
yeah.
I didn't
They planned to bring him back, but they cut him.
Oh, okay.
And but still, why would you cut him? I think it's a financial thing that helps him. It's kind of what happened with Chris Carson.
Okay.
Seattle
helps with the insuranceing and all that stuff.
But yeah, man.
Hey, it helps as a guy that drafted Marvin Mims in a Dynasty League. I'm just saying, me and my buddy, we drafted him in a Dynasty League and we stashed him in that little rookie safe bench. I'm just saying, he's looking real nice as the number 3 right now.
It is him, and they got Marquez Callaway from the Saints.
True.
Those are basically the 4, or
that's really it.
There's Sutton and Judy. Those
Sutton,
are the
Judy, but Sutton's prone to get hurt. I mean, if you're the Broncos, you better be signing somebody because
you should.
After Sutton goes down inevitably, it's Jerry Jeudy and then a rookie. Marquez Callaway's a home run threat that's never been consistent.
Yeah. They don't have anyone else. I mean, they probably do. Just
there's some guys that are undrafted free agents and things that are probably names we're not even thinking of considering.
Yeah. But since we're already on this, I actually kind of thought we would hit baseball first just because it's what's going on, but we just kind of rolled into this.
It just kind of happened, yeah.
So talking about the draft, one of the things that people like to do in the draft, particularly me, is make sure I get a running back in the first round. But with what's going on right now, one of the top running backs, we're not sure if he's even going to play right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you've got
Jonathan Taylor. That whole saga right now is a dumpster fire.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. I've never seen an owner actually come out and just basically say, we don't care.
If an owner was ever going to do it, though, it's Jim Irsay.
It is.
He's the guy
that gets arrested for narcotics.
I think the NFL owners will vote Irsay out as the next one. I think now that they finally got rid of from the Commanders, which
not Rivera.
That's a whole the whole naming change, a whole new topic discussion of its own there. But now that they've gotten rid of him, I think the next point that they point their head at is Jim Irsay. I really think that they will look for every chance now to get him out because he's been issued since prior to Andrew Luck and some things that were going on then. I mean, there's been issues for him for a while, drinking and driving, like you said. I mean, and this is a billionaire. You're a billionaire. Why are you even driving? If I'm a billionaire, y'all, I'm never driving, anywhere. I'm owning a helicopter and a driver.
100%. There's no reason to drive.
Never. If I owned a sports team, I have a helipad. We're landing at practices. Why the hell would I drive?
Yeah. 100%.
Look,
it makes no sense.
Rest in peace. Kobe had it right. He flew to every Laker game. Guy's own license and flew himself there. Look, fluke accident happened.
Yeah.
We understand that. But in hindsight, dude had it right. If I had it, I'm flying everywhere. Forget all this. Traffic sucks.
But with that going on, there's been rumors that there are teams out there that are willing to go for it. So I made a list down of basically the top teams that I could actually legitimately see like making a shot for it. Miami was rumored.
I was gonna say
to be in the market for Saquon Barkley. So now that Jonathan Taylor
would be a less expensive option because you just sign him, and once you trade for him, you just tell him, look, I mean, I think he'd play for a new team without rushing the contract because he wants to show off. He probably wants some kind of guarantee.
I mean, he's not making very much on a second round contract.
That's right, and he's going into year 4, right?
Yeah.
So he's like
he'll be a free agent next year.
Oh man, yeah. So he'll probably need some kind of extension year or something.
Kansas City is one of them, but I don't see
them having
an interleague trade to do.
Well, true.
Cap doesn't exist.
Well, I know the cap doesn't exist, but if you look at it, if we just talked about the idea of giving the money needed, I think that if you're them, you're just as content holding on to your staple of Pacheco for power, McKinnon, and maybe Clyde Edwards as some receiving guys. Like, I don't know that I think you would go out. If you didn't pull the trigger on Hopkins, you're not pulling the trigger on Jonathan.
Right, yeah.
But I also think that they sneaky have some guys that they're ready to show out with. Their receiver.
Justin Ross. Yes.
I'm just saying, people don't realize that name. You better learn he's your stash name.
He was someone that I told my brother about last year. I was like, I wouldn't pick him up this year, but remember his name.
He is on the bench of all of my dynasty leagues. I'm just waiting for it.
It's a smart play. Other teams are Baltimore, Buffalo, Chicago, New Orleans, and Denver. Those are all teams, and the reason Denver is because
injury questions behind Javonte Williams.
His injury.
I like the idea of the Saints because we know that as any day now we're going to hear about Alvin Kamara being cemented.
Yep.
Now they did sign Jamal Williams and they did draft the kid out of TCU.
Yep.
So maybe they don't want to invest in that. And it also comes down to the entirety of the market dying. We're sitting in a situation where Josh Jacobs is refusing to report for the Raiders, and he was your league-leading rusher last year.
And there's actually something that popped up yesterday that the Raiders are willing to start talking again on a contract. So
yeah, but are they allowed to at this point? Isn't there's a cut at a certain point? Well, I guess if he never signed a tender, I guess there's no rule to that.
Yeah.
Hell, if he never signs the tender, at what point does he become a free agent? I mean, I'm sorry, but isn't the point of the franchise? See that there's a flaw there.
Here's the thing. So if he doesn't sign, it just goes to next year.
Yeah, I guess my issue.
He just wasted. It's what Le'Veon Bell. What happened to Le'Veon Bell? You just wasted a year of your life or your career to push that back, and then there's no win-win. And according from what I read, the new CBA is basically kind of outlaws the whole not being able to do what Jacobs is doing right now, even though he's kind of doing it.
Yeah, I feel like there ought to be some kind of. I mean, obviously, they're trying to take care of that. It would be nice if they had a clause of some kind that said that if we didn't do it and we know that a situation like this is going to happen, something kind of like you have the compensation. So say the guy say we get to the second week of the preseason and he ends up not coming to terms, won't sign next free agency, and he goes, okay, fine, you can go to free agency, but whatever team does sign you, they have to either that team gets a match chance, kind of like a restricted free agency in basketball.
Okay.
Or they also would have to be willing to give up draft compensation. So say Jacobs,
depending on the size of the contract.
Exactly, size of the contract, positional value, what you did. You could scale from a third all the way to a first. Josh Jacobs right now, I mean, he's 24 years old.
And his legs are still young.
Yeah,
because he didn't run a lot.
If you gave him the contract, you could give up a first-round pick if you're a championship caliber team. Yeah. Because he could be what puts you over the top.
Definitely.
And so, in the whole world of, like we said, the running back dying, we have Dalvin Cook, who's still a productive player, wandering the streets right now.
Yeah.
Now, I think part of it is because he wants X, which he's probably worth whatever dollar amount he's asking for, but teams don't want to pay it. And he probably, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't want a 1-year deal. I bet he's walking into every room saying, I want a 2-year deal. And
at least.
Those are probably some of the holdups they're looking at with him. I mean, he's only, 27 himself?
Mm-hmm. Just a slew of shoulder injuries that he's constantly kind of got that he's kind of got fixed. But
and he's dealt with those his whole career, and they've never been an issue for him, causing him to miss time. Not in a long basis.
Missed games. He's missed time, just not games.
Exactly.
He's played in almost every game. It's just he's gone out early.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's that whole market of the position. You've got guys, and now you have the whole revolt of all the other guys coming out, the Derrick Henrys, the Christian McCaffreys.
Next year, Derrick Henry, Barkley again, Josh Jacobs again.
Which Barkley settled on nothing.
Eckler, and Jonathan Taylor.
Oh yeah,
those are all free agents.
They're all your friends, and then we don't even talk about guys that are going to be getting drafted.
Yep.
Which teams are going to go take those guys because they're going to say, "Oh, fresh legs, lower budget, and all that stuff."
Yeah.
There really does have to be something. Like I understand there's no way to change the CBA. The CBA that's already coming is locked in. It ain't changing for 10 years, but there has to be something to not allow a position group to be messed up as bad as this one is. Now, I've seen the whole thing about kickers make more. That you can't really trust because there's there's 33 kickers. There's 3 running backs on every roster.
You got 3 to 4 running backs per roster, and then you have
the Dolphins
100% one kicker on a team, and some teams might have a backup kicker. So you have maybe at the most like 4.
Yeah, you're talking exactly.
So the numbers are a little bit skewed.
So that's going to change, especially because there are going to be kickers like Justin Tucker who make a little more.
Yeah.
He's the greatest kicker ever, so he should.
So, yeah, those numbers to me are skewed, and it does, like, when you look at it on paper, you're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. But when you start actually kind of thinking about it, you're going, it is low, but at the same time, it's not really, like, that bad. That it's looking. It's bad, but it's not as bad as it's
you're taking the average of a lot more people, and you're going to have tons of rookie running backs that are on rosters right now making $275, $300, $400K, like veteran low end money that are going to weigh that stuff down. You've got guys like some of these guys have signed some decent deals, like David Montgomery. He was able to capitalize and get a decent contract. Not a great contract, but I think he kind of saw the writing on the wall for the position and his injury history and took a contract.
He went to the Lions.
Yeah, he's in the Lions. And he's going to be essentially what Jamal
25.
Williams was for them last year. He's going to be the goal line guy. He's going to be the between the tackles, and Jahmyr Gibbs is. All they did was take their staple of running backs last year and remake it with new bodies.
Yeah.
It's literally all they did. They said it worked. We just need him to stay healthy this time.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think that you got healthier by going from Williams to Montgomery, but that's beside the point. I'm really waiting for the day that someone just walks into the draft and goes, running back 2nd round, running back 3rd round, one's a scat back, one's a power back, and then just doesn't sign a veteran. Just goes, these are our guys. I mean, really, it's a shocker no one's done it yet.
I mean, Green Bay does that with tight ends.
This is true. They do. Green Bay's one of the teams staying loyal to their running back system.
Yeah.
You got 2 guys, 29-year-old Aaron Jones. And
surprisingly.
A.J. Dillon's bruising at 24 now, 25. Like, they're just like, yeah, y'all come back. We're gonna pay y'all. Like, they don't pay anybody else, but they're running backs. Packers got you.
So, other running back news, Ronald Jones for the Cowboys.
Denying it adamantly.
That it was a medication for a heart condition. So
got to get that stuff approved.
Maybe that's not as bad. And in other news, Jerry Jones said that the door isn't closed on Zeke.
That has been getting played around.
Isn't shocking because it just right now it just kind of seems that that's going to end up being what it is. Like, because they really didn't go for anyone else. Like Ronald Jones.
I really think. I'm honestly wondering if they're gonna take the preseason and actually take the preseason games into account here to see how a Malik Davis does.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that Malik Davis is the guy that's gonna take the touches that Zeke had. Now, he won't take as many touches as Zeke had. I think Pollard is. The Cowboys about to run Pollard into the ground. I think that Pollard is gonna get utilized, and he's gonna get crap if he gets hurt next season. But I think Malik Davis sees. I wouldn't be shocked if he sees 150 touches. If he proves in the spring training preseason that he can be the guy to do power yardage, 3rd and 1, goal line. Because I don't think Pollard's your goal line guy. He's your gadgety guy back maybe if you want to go trick and fancy it. But if you're going to just power it through, I really think Malik Davis gets those touches. I think he could see 100 to 150, a modest number of carries as long as he can prove in the preseason and the pre-work that he's the guy. Like he's willing to be that guy. And he's cheap. He's not $500K probably.
Yeah.
Like he's pennies compared to everybody else. So.
And then of course the other thing coming out of training camp, Dak Prescott, he always has rough training camps. I don't know what it is, but he always has it. So if you hear in the news that he's doing terrible, it's normal. It happens every single year, so it's
so
like
when
I hear it,
I'm
just like,
guys.
Okay,
the
whatever.
overinflation of guys' goods and bads in spring training.
In spring training, yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh, did you see the cannon on him in that catch? I'm like, yeah, that's cool. It was a one-on-one catch, cool, but it's not. They're in shorts and stuff. Like I'm cool, but I'm not impressed.
Now there was a scare because I saw Michael Parsons blew up the left side end and came through and got rolled up on Dak.
Yes. There was
Last thing you want to see is your best player hurting your starting quarterback. Season over before it left. But no, I mean it's gonna be fun getting the preseason wrapped up not tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, right? Mm-hmm. Tomorrow we kick off the Hall of Fame game.
Yep.
With the Browns and
the Jets.
The Jets on Hard Knocks starts the 8th, right? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm gonna watch that because, well, I watch Hard Knocks and it's in my division. Like,
yeah.
How do you?
I mean, you have to watch it, especially with the drama that's kind of unfolding in the preseason right now with Nathaniel Hackett and Sean Payton.
Yeah, Sean Payton straight up comes out and says, "I don't care that we as coaches stand up for each other. Nathaniel Hackett's trash." Which, I mean, we all thought it, but he can't say that.
Yeah, he can't say
I can. I'm Joe Blow. You're a fraternity. Can't do that. It'd be like me going on a private feed and saying, "Mike, you suck at this." Oh man, no. What if Mike Golick going on after he retired was like, all those years I did it with Mike and Mike in the morning? Yeah. Greenberg, trash.
I mean, it is like, and they play each other week 5, so that's going to be
go Jets.
Must-see TV.
The worst part is I don't care for Sean Payton, and I really don't hate Aaron Rodgers. Like, I've never hated the Jets. I know you're supposed to hate your division rivals, but like the only one I've ever hated, because most of my life they've been the only one that's been anything, is New England.
Right.
Like, honestly, I'm indifferent on the Bills. I don't really care about the Jets. I'd rather my Dolphins win, but if one of those wins the division, it's like, oh shit. Well, honestly, no. I put a parlay bet in and use the Fins to win the division, but get into that later. But I hate the New England Patriots. So as long as they're getting last, I don't care. But like, you want to root against them, but then you're like, man, that hurts me if the Jets win. But God, I hate Sean Payton.
Right.
Never liked the guy. My favorite Sean Payton is actually when Kevin James plays Sean Payton in a movie.
Oh yeah. That was funny. All right, so before we move on, because I don't have anything else other than this one thing, we got to rate the new threads.
New threads.
All the new helmets and uniforms.
Oh, there
in
are
the league this year.
There's a lot.
So
of
I'll go ahead and name it off. So this is where I have it at. I've got the Titans and the Oilers unis, and they'll be playing Houston wearing them on December 27th.
Okay.
So they're going to be facing Houston in the Oilers uniforms.
All right,
so
that'll be cool. Hilarious.
Then you have
that game to do it.
The Seahawks 90s throwbacks that they'll be playing against Cleveland in Week 8.
So sweet.
Then you have the Buccaneers with Bucco Bruce and the creamsicle uniforms.
Bringing back the classic. Even if you have Baker Mayfield at quarterback, it's still a cool jersey.
Yeah. Or Kyle Trask. Whoever it is.
You have Arizona coming out with a line of Falcons jerseys.
Yeah. Now I'm going to get to them in a second. And then you got Philadelphia bringing back the Kelly Grease.
So nice.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite shades of green.
That's my 1, 2, 3. That's number 4. Number 5, we just talked about.
Are you knocking them because they're the Eagles?
No, because I think the Titans, Seahawks, and Bucks look better.
Okay.
But then after that, you have the Jets with their 80s legacy white, which goes back to the New York Sack Exchange days. What is that? I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up.
I still don't know what it is.
That is a defensive line of Mark Gastineau, Joe Klecko, Marty Lyons, and Abdul Salam. They led the league with 66 sacks in 1981, which was tied for second place with the 1963 Boston Patriots. Wow, and this was at the time. And then the leader at the time was the 1967 Raiders, who had 67 sacks.
Well, all right.
Yeah, so now they are currently tied for 6th place with 66 sacks.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I had to look that up because I was like, what is the New York Sack Exchange? It came from the Jets being invited to the New York Stock Exchange.
Huh.
So that defensive line, they all bet each other to see who could get the most sacks, and they went out there and dominated. So they ended up becoming the New York Sack Exchange.
With that said, almost all of these jerseys have been shared on our Facebook page.
Yes.
So join the Buck and Mike Experience Facebook page. It's either myself or Mike has both shared the links all the time. So just find it, join it, and you can see exactly what we're looking at for the ones who obviously are listening audio and don't get to see images and stuff like that. You can see all these and put on there what you think's your favorite one. Put comments and thoughts about those jerseys because we love your feedback.
The next one at number 6 is the Vikings Purple People Eaters throwbacks.
I'm always down for some purple.
That they'll be playing week 1 against Tampa Bay in. So we're going to be seeing them right off the bat.
Yes.
And then after that, you have the Broncos with their snow cap that they're only going to be wearing with their orange uniforms.
Okay.
That's supposedly only going to be 3 games. And then you have the Browns with their white helmet. And I seen you go by them a minute ago. And they got a lot of flack on this because, the Bengals did it, so they got to do it. Well, the Browns wore white helmets from 46 to 51, and that's before the Bengals even existed. So they actually...
And they still never won anything.
Yeah. And so that was actually something that they wore. So this is a throwback to that because the Bengals' ice white helmets were so popular.
Which they are.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely gas.
And then we go to, and they also got a new logo that we talked about before.
We have the one with the different reasons behind Cincinnati or Cleveland.
And then we get to the Carolina Panthers. They're not actually getting a new uniform. They're getting an update on it. So apparently whenever the league switched to Nike, they didn't have that true processed blue color in their little scheme. So they just picked one that was close to it. And now Nike actually has that color. So they're changing to the actual true processed blue color that they had before Nike took over uniforms.
You'd have to think that Nike, in all of its infinite wisdom, could have added a color to its color palette.
Oh yeah. Long time ago.
Long time ago. So prior to making the deal.
What that one is. And then we get to what I'm going to call the trash. Because after that, it don't matter. Because you have the high school uniforms for the Cardinals.
Yeah, those are bad.
Those are
so basic.
Yeah,
just boring.
Very basic. I would say they're better than the Falcons two-tone crap.
But you know what? I'll take the Falcons two-tone because at least the Cardinals are going to put a basic roster on the field too. So.
Well, that's true. And then you have the Colts Indiana Knights with a black helmet and blue mesh-looking jerseys, which just makes them look like Duke football.
No.
Like, if you look up Duke football, the first pictures you're going to see is the blue uniforms and a black helmet.
It's true.
Like, that's what they are. Indianapolis Colts are emulating the Duke Blue Devils football team.
Oh, and that doesn't work out for Duke very well, so.
And then we come to the last one, which I battled between these two with the Colts. The last one here is the Lions using their 61 to 69 logo, which is... I'm sorry, I understand you want to use that for like an alternate logo, but don't put that ugly thing on your helmet. Like, it's gross. And they're only going to be wearing them for the gray uniforms.
Yeah, only with the grays, which I do like the grays.
I like the grays. I think that helmet is ugly.
I like the Lions. It is so ugly. I like the Lions colors in general. Always have. I don't know why. Just that blue is so nice.
And then there are a couple rumors that the Chargers are thinking about bringing back the navy blue helmet.
Okay.
Which, that would be cool. As long as it's not the navy blue that they did a couple years ago. That was ugly. And then the Bills are rumored to be bringing back the red helmet.
Okay.
These two may not happen until next year.
Gotcha. Gotta have some fun next year, right?
But here's the cool thing that I forgot to mention. The Lions are getting new uniforms in 2024. Yes. They're getting new uniforms in 2024, 100%. And on top of that, the Texans are rumored to be getting new uniforms in either 24 or 25.
Huh.
So, we got some updates coming.
Wait up.
And then...
ways to make more money.
100%. And then the last thing that I want to talk about has nothing to do with the jerseys. It kind of does because two of the teams, Cincinnati with their ice white and then the purple people eaters. So, would you believe me if I told you that Kirk Cousins was a better playoff quarterback than Joe Burrow?
Oh, don't give me that BS thing, but I saw the numbers.
1.75 touchdowns per game to Burrow's 1.4. 0.5 turnovers a game to Burrow's 0.6. 96.5 passer rating to Burrow's 93. 250 yards per game to Burrow's 260. 20 points per game to Burrow's 22. So he leads in those two. And then it gets down to the Vikings have allowed 28 points per game in the playoffs. And the Bengals have only allowed 18 points per game.
Let's also throw in the wrench that we have a fifth year quarterback versus a 10. 11.
Yeah, but we're also talking about a guy that everyone is always kind of down on. They're always like, he's not that good. Like, he's actually better. Like, he's right now to me, he's suffering from the Tony Romo syndrome.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Like, that's exactly what he's
He does have a very Romo career arc where the numbers are there, the production's there, and it's just never been around him completely.
Yeah.
Like, there's always something missing. Right now with the Vikings, they have no defense. Like, it's still not good. Defense. Like, they're the only thing that's keeping them in the divisional race this year is the fact that they're supposed to have an elite offense, but I mean, they let the best running back they had go, and if you really look, Mattison's not that good. Every running back behind Alexander Mattison on the depth chart brings about a better individual skill to the position than Mattison does.
Yeah.
He's just an average, okay football player. It's really on the shoulders of Jefferson, Hawkinson, and God, they hope Addison's good.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, they're gonna have to air it out with those three guys.
But I really thought that was interesting because I'm a big Joe Burrow fan.
Oh, me too.
But seeing that,
which
and it's actually like legitimately just not cherry pick stats. It's like those are legitimate stats that you would use to compare players.
It is
like,
very true.
And you're looking at it going, Cousins is kind of underrated. Like a little bit more than underrated. Like, he's very underrated.
Mm-hmm.
Even Patrick Mahomes believes he's better than people give him credit for.
Oh yeah.
Like, the dude is really good. And I was going to say
that's why it's always funny that he spends every year as a maybe. Like, even this year, literally, if you look up an article on Kirk Cousins right now, there's one on ESPN, I kid you not, that says, going into a questionable or a big-time year for Kirk Cousins, what will his future be? His future be, he's only 34, and he's the best player they got on the roster. They need to pay his ass and help him feed Brett Jefferson, because why would you even risk putting someone out there? Because how many times have we seen an elite receiver fall off of a cliff statistically because the team thought that quarterback's not the answer, throw a young guy in or a new guy in and it doesn't work out. Yeah. DeAndre Hopkins was floundering for a chunk of time because he hasn't found quarterback play. Like,
and then he signed with the Titans.
And then he decided to sign with bad quarterbacks.
So maybe he's the problem. So I was going to go off and switch here, but because we talked about Hard Knocks earlier and we just got through talking about Kirk Cousins, have you watched Quarterbacks?
I have not watched it. Knowing that Burrow's on next season.
No, he's not.
He's official. He says he's going to be.
He denied it already.
He denied it. I read one just today that says Joe Burrow's in it.
Pretty sure?
I don't know. I'm down to watch it if he's in it for sure. I've heard really good things. I actually just got Netflix back like 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. So I will sit down and watch it pretty soon. Just because it's kind of like Hard Knocks. It's one of those things where it's fun to get the other side of the content. Now, I have no desire to learn about Marcus Mariota, though.
Okay.
You see it?
Yeah. It's been reported by Peter King.
Yeah. I have no desire to learn about Marcus Mariota. Like, I literally might fast forward past him. But
his stuff is like it's one of those that you just don't care.
Yeah, like just don't give a shit.
Because you knew what happened in the season, you just don't care.
Yeah, and so I mean, I really want to watch him sit the bench.
Yeah, like it's a really good show. It's like, to me, I would say it's better than Hard Knocks, but Hard Knocks hasn't been good in several years, so it's not saying much. But yeah, I didn't realize that Burrow had said yes. I read that he declined it.
Yeah.
So if Burrow was in it, okay, that's cool. But I also made a list of quarterbacks that have said no.
Which is really long.
Burrow, well, we'll remove his name. Fields has said no. Howell has said no. Hurts has said no. Lamar has said no. Dak has said no. Geno has said no. Tua has said no. And Stafford has said no.
You know what? All those guys have a trend, though, excluding Hurts. Most of those guys are guys that are really young, who need to, or really old, who are trying to secure that they're the guy, and that's a distraction.
Yeah.
If you're Marcus Mariota doing it was stupid in my opinion. Now that I know what the show's about, because you were fighting for what might have been your last chance, and you had an off the field thing that's adding to that.
Yeah.
Like, I understand Lamar got paid, so maybe he's an anomalous reason not to be on it. But Mahomes, he's not going anywhere. Kirk Cousins, yes, he might be going to a questionable contract year and all, but he's still been, what we say, underrated and deserves more.
Gosh darn it.
But, like, Dak's going into a contract year. Fields, this is the year for Fields. Most people say that if you don't take your heroic step forward, the Bears move on. I mean, a lot of those guys that get named on that list, which I understand why they want to get a guy like that, because if he blows up on their show, it's great. If he collapses on their show, it's great. But I can understand why a player like that would not want to.
So, with that being said, who other than Burrow do you think would be good? Based off
who hasn't said no?
Based off who hasn't said no and your understanding of the show. So you have like the superstar quarterback, which is going to be Burrow.
It's going to be Burrow. He's there for Patrick Mahomes this year.
All right. So you also had Kirk Cousins, who was kind of in that middle ground.
Which would have been a perfect Dak.
Yeah.
Like, Dak would have been a perfect, I'm a good player, I'm in the middle, I'm better than I probably get credit for sometimes. Like, that's literally the name that comes to mind is Dak Prescott. I can't... maybe a Tannehill to replace a Mariota wouldn't be a bad one if he's still quarterbacking next year. I mean, let's be honest.
I have a few. I have for that position. I have Tannehill, Purdy, Pickett, Carr. Those are the ones that are kind of in that area because
if Pickett has a decent season this year that shows that he's cemented himself, he would be a very good second guy. Yeah. I think I can see that one. And then, he had good signs as a rookie.
For the other one, to me, it's between Watson, Daniel Jones, and Russ.
Forget that. I want him to really break the mold for the other one, and I want him to go follow Caleb Williams or the kid from North Carolina as they journey to go to the NFL.
I mean, that would be pretty cool.
That would be amazing. If your third guy was, this is Caleb Williams getting ready for USC and Utah. Boy, I'd be watching that.
You make a good point on
Different angle there, I know. Never will happen, but it would be a pretty cool, especially now you can pay the guy. Like, hey, here's your cut for being on our show.
That is true.
NIL deal.
You could also follow one of the rookies.
True. You could follow one of the rookies that's not playing right now.
Will Levis.
Will Levis, who's up and down on if he's going to be the second or third guy at the moment, it sounds like.
I've heard he's moved up.
Has he?
He's
Anthony Richardson
practicing with second string now.
Anthony Richardson would have been a fun one because of the what if factor. But then again, you have to go with Jim Irsay and go with that guy. So.
Exactly. Oh, by the way, that was something that I did mention here. I said that you may not need a running back with who's going to be a quarterback.
Oh, that's also true. Good to see plenty of rushing attempts there. But now, as we were talking about playoff stats, we can slide, I guess, into some baseball because we are officially past the deadline, past the All-Star break, and it's push time. It is all in. Everyone's chips are on the table. We just saw two of the best chip pitchers in the last generation get traded. It was in Verlander and Scherzer. And not only did they get traded from teammates on and off throughout their career to, hey, here's a division rivalry. We're going to slap you into two teams that are a half game apart. One's Texas, one's Houston. Have fun.
Yeah.
And then you look at it and you think, man, they're old, they're done. Well, fun fact, Verlander started slow this season. You know his ERA in his last 8 starts is like 1.87.
Is it really?
Yeah, he's dealing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's prime Verlander right now. Just
okay.
Scherzer's issue has only been the fact that he's lost some movement on his slider, and that's a big out pitch for him. But there's also been some questions about lackluster being a Met. Like, the situation for the Mets has not been good for most of the guys, and a lot of people are out. So
yeah, well, I mean, the Mets just kind of cleaned house.
Oh yeah,
like they're paying $131.8 million.
Yeah, they're eating a ton of money to get
to
rid of
players
some of
that are
these
not
guys.
even playing for them.
Guys
that
that
includes Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah, not even factoring him. But then but I mean, you look at the winners and losers.
That's more than 12 other teams.
Oh, 100%. It's team, and all those teams are in the bottom of the leagues. But you look at guys like most people put the Texas Rangers as one of the biggest winners in baseball as far as trades goes. You get you get Max Scherzer, you get Montgomery from the Cardinals. You added some bullpen help. You already added Chapman earlier in the offseason, earlier in the regular season, which we weren't even broadcasting. But Chapman, you look at Chapman and people are like, Chapman's over the hill. Fun fact, Chapman's still pumping 102.
Yeah.
He's as alive as he's ever been. And then that was a fun fact I shared, is that as a Cubs fan, in 2016, the Cubs traded for a reliever. You know who that reliever was?
Who?
It was Aroldis Chapman.
Really?
Yeah, and they went on to do what?
Oh,
Is
that what that was?
Was that what it was? I'm just saying.
Okay.
Good move if I'm for my team to trade for Chapman mid-season. With that said, though, the Cubs catch absolute fire the last month. Cody Bellinger is playing like the MVP that he won 3 years ago, and went from 6 games below 500 to 3 games over 500 and said, hey, we're buying. Let's do this. Go out and get the best hitting guy in the lineup or in the market off of the Nationals. The Reds, Ellie De La Cruz has just broken baseball with the way he plays. Tons of fun, huge energy, absolute cannon. That dude stole 3 bases and 2 pitches a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's insane when he's bringing. And I mean, you look up and down. The Braves are far and away. The Braves didn't have to make moves because you know who the Braves just got back? They've pitched all season without Max Fried, the guy that's their ace, and he's coming back from injury now.
Simeon is back too for the Rangers.
Yeah, the Rangers are getting
Seager
back. Yeah,
Seager.
They're getting Seager back tonight. Now they are down Jonah Heim, so they had the Austin Hedges trade. You will not get the offense from Austin Hedges that you're giving Jonah Heim. Austin Hedges is literally like one of the 3 worst hitting catchers in baseball. But you know what he does well? He frames like a boss. He is a pitcher's catcher, and that's what they wanted. They know that the other 7, 8 guys in that lineup can rake. There's no reason to move him. The Angels catch fire a little bit and decide they're going to be buyers, and they go out and they get Lucas Giatella. They added some offensive guys, some bullpen guys. Randall Grichuk's a solid outfielding option to fill in while they're waiting for Mike Trout.
And Dominic Leone.
Yeah. I think it goes one or 2 ways. It either helps your cause if you really think you have a chance to bring back Shohei, because I think that's what it comes down to. If you really think you have a chance to bring back Shohei Ohtani, then you have to go out and show him we're willing to do this, if that's what it takes. Because I don't think that Ohtani, not all Japanese players like this, but a lot of them are. A lot of them don't care to be 100% in the spotlight regularly. There's some, like Ichiro spent a lot of his career in Seattle because Seattle it's Seattle.
Yeah.
Like it's like a college town. They don't care.
Somewhat small market.
Yes, it's big enough that it's big, but it's small enough that you can kind of fly under the radar sometimes. And it's on the West Coast, so East Coast people don't mess with you because they're asleep before you play.
Yeah.
I don't think that Ohtani wants to be a New York Yankee. Like, I think that's going to be the name everyone's going to say. The Yankees are going to want Ohtani. They're going to find a way to get rid of Giancarlo Stanton's contract. Can you imagine? I mean, don't get me wrong. Can you imagine a healthy Judge batting next to Ohtani?
Yeah.
God. And Ohtani batting lefty in that ballpark, he's hitting 80. I mean, it's a wiffle ball park up there. There were some teams rumored that would have been fun. Like, there was whispers of the Cincinnati Reds. And that's another ballpark where Ohtani could have hit 90 home runs. Like, it's the ball travel.
Yeah.
Oh, there were people like Jim Rose or Justin Rose, I think it was, that was like, Cincinnati should do it. Like, Cincinnati is right now playing the best baseball they've ever done. They're loaded with a young farm system. Like, go out right now and trade for Ohtani.
Yeah.
Now, the only problem is I don't know that not that Ohtani, or not that Cincinnati, Ohtani wouldn't stay in Cincinnati. I don't know that the Reds could afford Ohtani.
Yeah.
Because end of the day, that's the other thing is that Ohtani's going to get paid like a Yankee, and he's going to want to play in a Milwaukee or a Chicago. I think you could see him do because it's a big market, but the media is not as pushy as New York and LA. The Angels are like the Clippers, though, to the Lakers. Like, they're there, but they don't get all the spotlight, so he's comfortable there. And, I mean, he's sitting at, 40 home runs?
Yeah.
He literally got cramped the other day while he was doing things that we'll never see. Hey, let me hit 2 home runs in one day. Oh, and I pitched a complete game a few hours ago. Like, what? This dude's breaking the sport.
He really is.
And
really
so
is. It's crazy what he's doing.
They stay in. They're fighting for it. They're 100% buying into being a wild card berth, though, because the Rangers and the Astros are far and away taking as far as one of them is going to get a wild card spot. But then you look at the AL East, and the Yankees are awful. Let me phrase that. We call the Yankees awful because they're 4 games above 500, but they're in last place. But they're in the best division in baseball. Awful is the A's.
They are currently beating the Rays 5-2.
Yeah.
And Rangers are currently winning 7-0.
Yeah. And
in the top of the third.
And then the Angels signed, they traded for Giatello, who was supposed to be one of the best pitchers on the market. The Braves hung 9 on Giatello in 3 innings today in his debut. So, Braves banked the A's today, 12-5. So, a lot of teams, though, made some good moves. I mean, we're sitting here now with the Orioles, one of the youngest teams in baseball. When we were on the air, the Rays were still record-setting pace for wins. And now the Rays are 66-44 and a game and a half back in their own division.
Yeah.
The Orioles are stupidly stacked with young talent, though. And they have a kid in their farm system that's going to come up and supposed to be better than all these guys that are already up there. You remember Matt Holliday?
Yeah.
His son is already in AA. He's 19. He was drafted last year.
Really?
And they've already moved him up to AA.
That's impressive.
Yeah, the kid's Jackson Holliday is supposed to be a stud going forward. And AL Central's still trash. Nothing is special there. We got one team over 500. Yankees would be in first in their division, and yet we call them terrible because they're 11 games back. I mean, I don't like the Yankees, but that's what we're talking about. Like we said, Rangers and Astros are currently tied for first after Framber Valdez throws a no-no yesterday for the Astros.
As Verlander trade is happening, he's throwing a no-no.
Yeah, I mean it's insane how good those teams are. Now the Astros had to give up a lot to get Verlander. They gave up their number 3 and number 5 prospect, I believe, but most people say that their farm system is bad now. Like they finally have a bad farm system. It took them forever to get there, but.
So Seager hit a 2-run home run in the first. And
there we go. Welcome back.
Then Seager singled to left with Huff scoring. Then Lowe singled to left with Simeon scoring.
Nice.
Young grounded out. Seager scored. And then Jankowski doubled to left, and Garcia and Lowe scored. So they're playing quite well, and so was Seager. Like he came back with a vengeance.
Yeah. You want to know another funny thing when we talk about how good the American League is? All 5 teams in the American League East have positive run differentials. Yankees barely have one; it's +2. 4 of the 5 teams in the AL West, excluding the Oakland A's, have a positive run differential. So that's 9 teams in 2 divisions, right? Of the 15 teams in the National League, only 6 in the entire National League have positive run differentials, and still the Braves are the favorites for the World Series. I mean, it's the National League bottom half is when it goes really good, blam.
That is crazy.
That's it. So it's going to be a fun race watching it come down. I mean, like we said, we saw a lot of really good trades. The Orioles added Flaherty from the Cardinals. The Cardinals blowing it up is always fun because they're like I mean, that's one of those teams that you either absolutely love them or you absolutely hate them. And I personally absolutely hate them. Like, more than I hate the New England Patriots, I hate the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah, because they even got rid of DeJong to the Blue Jays.
Yep.
And Jordan Hicks to the Blue Jays as well.
The Mets did eat a ton of money. They got a couple of decent guys back, though. Luis Angel Acuna. So Ronald Acuna's little brother. He was the number 4 ranked prospect in the Rangers system.
Number 44 in Major League.
Yes, and the problem, as good as he is, the Rangers had to trade him. Because honestly, you have nowhere to put him.
Yeah.
You've got 5 years left on the Simeon deal. You've got 8 years left on the Seager deal. And I don't remember if anyone remembers, but episode 3, when the Rangers signed Seager, I said, or when the Rangers had getting into the preseason, I said, watch out for Seager this year because the shift he was one of the guys impacted the most by it. You know what Seager's hitting this year? It's like 329.
Okay,
so you get rid of the shift. Yes, he's crushing balls where there used to be guys shifting. The only thing that keeps him from even being MVP conversations is 2 stints on the IL and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
And so but he's been that good. And so no, having shortstop prospects for your farm system don't do you any good. That's why when everyone was like the Rangers could be linked to trading for the Angels, the Angels are not going to trade the best player in the history of baseball in their own division. It's never going to happen. I don't care if you say, here's the first 5 pick players on our prospect board. Oh, and Wyatt Langford, who we can't even trade yet. It wasn't going to happen. And so, all in all, though, it'll be a fun race. I still don't know if the Rangers are a legitimate World Series team. I think that you have 2 guys in Simeon and Seager who have that experience, who know how to play that, and I think Mad Max helps bring that presence. But there's a lot of
DeGrom out.
DeGrom's done for the year.
He's done for the year.
He won't be back until, if they're lucky, he comes out of the bullpen next year in September to just start kind of getting back into game action.
I wasn't
Tommy
sure
John,
if he'd be.
he's
That's right.
Yeah, and the other one in sad news, and that we got to talk about a while back, was I shared on our Facebook page earlier, is Liam Hendricks had to get Tommy John today.
I just saw it.
He's going to be done until 2025 now. Honest to God, I think he still wins Player of the Year or Comeback Player of the Year. He still came back.
There's a lot of.
I would say Acuna's going to get in the NL because coming back from the ACL and putting up the numbers he has. But looking at the American League, it's hard to sign a guy that not take the guy that beat cancer and then came back. If he doesn't get hurt, it's 100% his award.
Yeah.
But I can't think of another name that just jumps out at me as he came back from adversity to win said award.
Yeah.
But in the NFL, the comeback player of the year is just really most improved player. That's why they vote for guys like Gino. Where'd you come back from? Sucking?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
So,
what did you? Oh, you were a backup and you couldn't get a starting job, and now you come to a team that can actually kind of use you correctly, and all of a sudden you're really good.
After 9 years of being an average player and having some chances and never really doing anything with them, you played good. You're the comeback player of the year. I don't know. No.
Yeah. That's pretty much how it is.
But no, I mean, it'll be fun. The Phillies have turned things around. They did go out and add Michael Lorenzen, the All-Star. We know the Rangers kind of dominated the Phillies preseason in the early part of the year, but Phillies, at the end of the day, were still a World Series caliber team last year, so you can't sleep on them. I don't know. It'll be a fun race. I think that we'll continue to watch it. We'll keep monitoring. We'll keep talking about it. I think that that and my love for immaculate grids. I do a lot of baseball.
Oh yeah. Oh man,
now.
I totally forgot about doing those.
Man, I tell you what,
you sent me those.
they have. If you've never looked it up, immaculate grids are now in baseball, football, basketball, and hockey.
Oh, there are 2 more sports now.
So they added baseball, had 110 days of just baseball. Then they added football, basketball, and hockey within 4 days of each other.
Okay.
And so every day you put it on. The way it works, it's kind of like you say like a Sudoku, essentially, or a tic-tac-toe. I don't really know how to describe it.
I mean, it's something like Sudoku, but it's its own thing.
It's basically, as an example, you have your 3x3 grid, your 9 square grid, and you have 3 things on the top, 3 things on the left, and it's just matching the points. But
a player that played for the 49ers in Kansas City. So 49ers here, Kansas City here.
And you link the box.
And
then that Kansas City one will have 2 more going down.
And that 49er will have 2 more going sideways.
This way. And then my favorite ones, and they do it on every board, most every board, they'll do guy that played for the Blue Jays, the Reds, stole 100 bases in a season. You know how hard it is to figure out who the hell stole 100 bases in a season without cheating? And then they'll put down there teams like the Rockies,
Jays and the Reds.
Well, not on the Blues and Reds, because Blues and Reds, so it'd be like the Rockies, the A's, and the Padres. Well, I know an A, Ricky Williams, or Ricky Henderson. Shit, I couldn't tell you if a Rocky stole 100 bases. He probably hasn't. But After you're done with the grid, what's cool is after you're done, you get 9 guesses. Once you get it wrong, that's it. The goal is to guess as rare of a player as you can, like Bucky Dent, someone that no one else is going to think of if he matches that stat category, and put him on. But when you lose, you have all day to do it. It doesn't delete. Like, I will open mine up, sit on the couch, think about it. No, I can't think of anybody right now, and then I'll move on. I do all 3 grids. Like, why not? I've learned a ton just thinking of guys. Like, guys like Octavio Dotel have pitched for like 14 teams. Like, he's a guy to have in your pocket because he fits like half the grids. Rich Hill has now pitched for 17 teams. I mean, there's guys out there that if you know that they've played for a bunch of teams. Mike Maddox, not Greg Maddox. Mike Maddox has pitched for like 9 teams.
Yeah, mine's the football one.
Nelson Cruz.
I can nail that football one like it ain't nothing.
Yeah. And so it's a fun thing to look at. I'll try to start sharing them. I've got my buddy Justin Reed hooked on them. Like, he's an avid listener of the show. He was yelling at us when we went on vacation. And he said, "Why have I already heard this episode?" Because we haven't done a new one. Why did I miss that? Because you didn't follow his Facebook, apparently. But, no, he's on it every morning now. I'll get a text, "Bro, these 3 today are hard." What 3? I hadn't even gotten to look at the board yet. I'm driving to work still. Like, so those are a lot of fun, something to look at. As far as, with that said, there are other sports. Like we talked about, that slides into some basketball.
Yeah. I really don't have much about basketball.
Not a ton. We had a recap of the offseason.
This is something that we're basically going to call quick takes.
Yeah.
There just ain't much on it. You got Mark Jackson, who got let go from the NBA broadcast team and replaced by Doc Rivers, who is the same person that replaced him on the Knicks in 1983.
Did not realize that. That's hilarious. I don't like Doc Rivers. I like Mark Jackson. I'm sure somehow their ratings will go up, and they'll all say it's because of Doc Rivers. Even though, Mark Jackson never gets his flowers. Hopefully he gets a coaching gig. I hope he does. I would love to see Mark Jackson go get us a coaching gig, but this time the team give him the chance to see it all the way through. I stand by the statement that I think Mark Jackson, I understand the concept of you need that new voice to take a team over the hump, and that's what that's what Steve Kerr was for Mark Jackson. But I think Mark Jackson could have done it. I think Mark Jackson could have just as easily gotten Golden State to that next level.
Probably. But he probably also could have been Barry Switzer.
Well, no, because he would have been the guy before
Jimmy Johnson.
Jerry Switzer was the guy after Jimmy Johnson.
The guy before Jimmy Johnson.
Because Jimmy Johnson
was Tom Landry.
Oh, that's true. So
that's why I started with Barry Switzer.
True. I see what you're saying now. I mean,
you can't be Barry Switzer and Jimmy Johnson. You have to be the other guy.
And so no,
it's the reverse. It's instead of Barry Switzer first, he's second, and Mark Jackson, instead of being that first, he's in that second spot, and Steve Kerr is taking the Jimmy Johnson role. But even though it would work the other way, better. But Mark Jackson just isn't on the level of Jimmy Johnson, so I had to throw Barry Switzer.
Very true. I see what you're saying there. Other than that,
also
I know you're talking about, what's his name? We were talking earlier about changing jersey numbers.
Oh yeah, Anthony Edwards going from 1 to 5.
Yeah, nothing crazy there.
Nothing crazy.
Montrezl Harrell tore his ACL, so the 76ers need a new backup center. There were some interesting signings. The Mavs gave Kyrie his big deal. Fred VanVleet to the Rockets. The Rockets made some weird moves. They built this young core, and then they went out and signed guys like Dylan Brooks, who I told you he was going to get paid.
Yeah.
The dude's too good defensively, as much as he is a tool bag, not to get paid. Fred VanVleet's a solid player. I don't understand what you want from him, though, as far as the youthful team around him. Like, you were so good at building a young core. Like, you were doing the Thunder model, and then you decided to add the veterans early, I think. Like, Oklahoma needs to add a winning piece veteran right now to get over that hump, but I think the Rockets tried to do that a little early and with the wrong people. So I don't know that they're going to be that much better, but they will be a better basketball team. Damian Lillard still hasn't been traded, and the NBA's pissed at him. They literally sent out a note that says, if you actually tell teams that you won't play or trade, like, we will punish you. So that's not going away anytime soon. I think that I wouldn't be shocked if Portland just sits on him.
I mean,
the NBA players have so much power.
That's what's the bad thing is the NFL was looking at the NBA going, well, I want to do what they're doing, and you kind of can't because the NBA players kind of got their way in their CBA. NFL players did not.
Yeah, no, not at all. NBA, the only part of the NBA player CBA that I don't like is I'm not a huge fan of the max contract system and how all that works. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it because I feel like you see guys get paid that aren't necessarily as good as what they're getting paid, but because this is how the contracts cliff, that's what they get paid. And they would probably get paid less if it was a true open market paid off skill set.
Yeah.
And then because you see some of these guys like that get paid, you see some other guys that kind of get on the shaft end of things as far as some of their paychecks because maybe they're a quality player, but they're not a superstar, so they get stuck on the burner to get a last-minute scrubby deal. So it'll be fun. I mean, the free agency was pretty wild. We shared a bunch of things on the page throughout. It's a little late to go back and, rehash all of them, but it'll be a fun season as we get closer out, getting in there, seeing how it goes. The draft was fun. We have Wembanyama is officially a Spur like we knew he would be. Scoot Henderson, the Thompson brothers, those will be pretty cool. The twins, they both look like they're going to be solid based off Summer League. Chet Holmgren looked like a stud and has multiple people saying that he's going to win Rookie of the Year because he was technically hurt. He's going to get that Ben Simmons Rookie of the Year treatment.
One of the things I was going to bring up, I couldn't think of his name, but from something that I read was Portland is they're interested in Jamie Jaquez Jr.
Okay.
For the trade.
Can eligible be traded now?
Over Nikola Jovic.
Last year's first round pick for the Heat.
So they like him more than Jovic. So if there is a trade happening, that's likely to involve him going to Portland.
Okay. Which he did get picked. Portland had, because I think Portland had 2 first round picks, but yeah, their second first round pick was 23, and Jaime Jaquez went 18, so they probably were hoping he'd slide.
Yeah. And
they missed that window on him. So it'll be fun. I mean, kind of getting into it, like I said. Other than that, other sports stuff would be we do have the Women's World Cup going on, which Team USA is relatively crapping the bed. I mean,
to say the least.
They were the ultimate powerhouse favorite going into things, and they ended up getting second in their own pool. And, like, legends of women's soccer were watching the girls go out and celebrate with selfies with the fans after a draw, and they were just like, I would be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And so, like, I was going to say, was it Lloyd? Carly Lloyd.
Yeah.
That was just like, I get you need to respect the fans and be with them, but you need to get your ass in the locker room because y'all sucked.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's definitely interesting to see.
Something else that I have is Jamaica. They launched a GoFundMe to get to the Women's World Cup, and they're on their way to the round of 16 for the first time in history.
They did qualify.
So they had to get a GoFundMe just to make it, and now they're moving on.
Did you hear? That sounds like how they got their bobsled team in the Olympics years ago.
Yeah.
But do you hear that? You know the team that they beaten to get in, or I think they ended up drawing them, but they got in with 5 points. France was the number 1 in that division with 7. They drew with France. Third was Brazil, who is historically very good at soccer.
Wow.
Women's or men's, Brazil is very good at soccer. 4th was Panama. I'm sorry, I don't know much about Panamanian soccer, but I'd assume they were better at soccer than Jamaica was.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like they went through some slouches. Like, they went in and handled business, got a W against Panama, and then took draws with France and Brazil to get their 5 points. So props to them.
Yeah. The other thing for the Olympic type of events.
Oh, the feedback, I forgot that one.
Is that Simone Biles is going to be back for the first time since the Tokyo Olympics. She'll be competing this coming weekend at the U.S. Classic. So that'll be interesting to see her, see what she does.
I have such mixed feelings on her.
With her depression that she was going through?
Yes, but from what, it's not that her depression was going through, because I deal with...
being abused by the coach?
Well, I mean, the whole organization's dealing with that.
Yeah.
But I guess I feel like they knew, and she knew she was having these issues at the qualifiers. Like, this wasn't like she got to the Olympics and this just onset on her.
Right, but I mean, you're talking about even more pressure.
No,
and probably
I
even
understand.
more criticism from your coach.
For
you're
sure,
already
as they got
on a
new
breaking
staffing
point.
and all that point.
Like,
I wonder if I feel like they could have. Maybe this is more towards the Olympic Committee as a whole, as they did the election selecting process. But I think they could tell if the writing was on the wall that something was coming with her at the trials. Like she didn't look her best at the trials.
I mean, that is true, but it's Simone Biles.
It is Simone Biles.
You have to bring her along.
I mean, you thankfully you had Simi Lee went out there and did her thing and got the Olympic gold.
Yeah.
But you just wonder if someone knew that she might have had this issue, like if there might have known that there was something because you could tell she wasn't at 100%, if there was an opportunity for someone else who might have been ready. You know what I'm saying? Like
now I understand that, but it's Simone Biles.
I know.
It's like if Michael Jordan wasn't 100% and Michael Jordan was available. Are you taking Michael Jordan or are you taking someone else that might help you a little bit more?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You're taking Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You're taking the GOAT, like Michael Phelps. If Michael Phelps wasn't 100%, but you had Michael Phelps.
All right, well, Michael Phelps would have just smoked a bowl and jumped in the water.
Okay, but that's Simone Biles.
Yeah, it's true. She was. It was a rough situation to watch on television.
It was terrible.
It was a hard one to watch. Sad on multiple accounts and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see how she does, getting her back into competing. There's the chick in tennis that's not too dissimilar from her situation that deals with some anxiety issues. She's having a baby now. I know that. It's gonna drive me nuts. She's one of the best women's tennis players in the world when she actually plays. She doesn't play all the time anymore. Like she's got to the point now where she basically just plays like majors. And even then, sometimes she just goes, I just don't feel like it.
Naomi Osaka.
Naomi Osaka. She's been one that, like, at the Olympics, you see her she just floundered.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where, now there's also questions with her about dedication to the game. Like, there's been whispers
but hers was a lot of anxiety and depression as well.
Yeah, and so it'll be, that's another one that there's some few of them on the women's side that have those going on. But then we also had some fights. I'm not a fight watcher.
Hey, I actually I took down a lot of notes.
Did you take them? I didn't watch much, but I know that Spence got worked. Now, I also know that he didn't look like he was ready to fight when he walked in the ring. He looked a little messed up in the face.
I think Crawford was already in his head.
You think so?
Yeah. Crawford was already in his head. He had him beat before the belt.
Do you? I don't think that... I think Spence, since his accident's been on the downside anyway.
Yes.
I think that as normal with boxing, this is the problem with boxing. We always see the fight we want 5 years too late. And I really think
that is true.
I think we saw this fight.
They're trying to build it up and let these guys get a little bit more under them.
Forget that. UFC goes, look, this guy's a rising star, throw his ass in there and let's fight. Yeah. And what does that do? That's how we've started to establish who these great fighters are, is because you know what? You can have a loss in the UFC and still be an all-time great.
Don't last very long is in UFC is the next guy's already coming up.
Yeah.
They're there. They're going to give him the shot.
Yeah, they're going to give him a shot, so you better put in your work and be ready to get the wins. And so I think that literally, in my opinion, is the thing that draws me not to care for boxing, though, is that's my entire life, it seems like. We always got the fight you wanted that hyped up 5 years too late. We got Pacquiao and Mayweather 5 years too late.
We got that sucker like 8 years too late.
Yeah, way too late. Even when Mayweather fought, was it De La Hoya? Like, De La Hoya was like 39 by the time they fought.
And he still won.
And he still should have won the fight. Yeah,
he won.
Like, it's just one of those things where
you watch that match and you think Floyd Mayweather won, it's because you're stuck up his ass.
Yeah, no, it's just that's always been my issue with boxing. Like, it's just that it's just always too late to the party.
Yeah.
I mean, at least
like even Triple G. Like, Triple G was 70 matches into going against Canelo.
Yeah.
Like, at that point, like, even me as a huge Triple G fan, I was like, at this point, like,
yeah,
you're going.
I think
an old Triple G versus like a middle of the not young anymore, but just a little up there. Canelo, who's still got a long career ahead of him.
Yeah,
like
I think that's
to
what
me
makes
at
it
that point. I was like, and then he still like, to me, he got robbed. Triple G should have won that first match. The second match was 100% Canelo.
Yeah,
but Triple G won that first match. No question about it to me.
I think that's kind of what makes guys like Jake Paul at least kind of entertaining, because they're just young and reckless about it in the ring.
Jake Paul.
And he does, and yep, he's got one coming. He's got Is this in what, a week or two or something? It's pretty soon.
Saturday.
Yeah, I was saying it's this weekend.
Yeah,
he goes
Nate Diaz.
And he
and
actually
it's on ESPN Plus.
And he did come out and say that, or he didn't say it, but his media people, which is crazy to think that a YouTuber has media people, but they did say that there's whispers that if he was to lose to Diaz, he'd hang up boxing.
Well, so here's my thing. He lost to an actual boxer, so he went back to fighting MMA guys. He lost to Tyson Fury.
Oh yeah.
And not Tyson Fury.
Fury's brother.
Yeah, the other brother.
The other Fury.
Yeah, the other
Tommy Fury.
Tommy. Yeah. So he lost to Tommy. He lost to Tommy.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't about that. Tommy was an actual boxer. He did really well against Tommy, but he lost. So now he's going against those guys that aren't professional boxers, so that he could hopefully get another win. Because he finally was like, all right, I'll dip my toes into the actual boxers, and then he was like, oh, let me go back to the dudes I can probably beat.
Well, and I think he also, the kid does a great job promoting himself. His brother's the same way. Like, there's no knocking what the two of them have done as far as self-promotion and build-up. Like, here we are recording a YouTube video that we throw out for y'all, and these kids are millionaires because of this stuff. So, he doesn't have the technical aspect of fight the real boxers. Like, he can hold his own because he can take a punch. We've seen it. He'll take a punch. And he's careless enough to get back up. That's also what's entertaining about him is he doesn't quit. Like, I got to give him that. But Diaz is also, my worry with him is that Diaz is not going to be technically sound.
No.
Diaz is a Street Fighter 101. But the other thing is I've seen Nate Diaz take a punch.
Nate Diaz.
You better hit him hard.
That boy's made of stone.
Yes.
He's made of stone.
Like, Diaz might not be able to throw hands like he could in his past. Like, physically throw the punches to keep up with him. Power-wise, I don't know that he's going to have the strength that Paul has anymore. Because Paul's a strong effort.
Yeah,
like, he works out well. But like we said, he's like punching a brick wall. Diaz just takes him and just goes, look, we can do this all day. Like, he's Captain America of getting his ass whooped. Like, so I'm not going to pay money to watch a boxing match. Like, I just won't. But I will watch. I'll keep an eye on it and be wondering about it. Like, it'll be interesting to me.
But speaking of Tommy Fury, Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury are set up to fight a 10-round match in October.
That's right.
In Saudi Arabia. So that is going to be very interesting because I've read a little bit on it and people are scared for Fury because Ngannou packs an absolute missile.
Oh, yeah, he hits. But I don't know that Ngannou's going to... It's going to be the same thing. I don't know the technical side of things are going to come down. Ngannou has to land the punch before he slips up and gives himself up. Because he's going to open up at some point because he's not a technical sound fighter. He hasn't been training long enough for that kind of fighting, I don't think. He might try to block a kick and he can't get kicked. Like, and so, but on the topic of Saudi Arabia, that did bring me into something else.
Oh, we still got more.
You have
UFC.
more fights?
Yeah, I got more. I got way more UFC MMA.
Oh, well, go ahead, and then I'll go back to my Saudi Arabia drop here.
So back to Terrence Crawford. Spence is likely going to invoke his rematch. But the thing is that Crawford, because he won, gets to choose the weight class, and likely is going to stay in the weight class, even though Spence wants to move up to the 154. With that said, if you watched the fight, and I'm sure some of y'all did, Terrence Crawford, while he was beating up Spence, was talking crap to Mel Charlo, the light heavyweight or the light middleweight champion. Like, in the middle of the ring, fighting Spence, he was yelling at the champ of the other division that they were going to fight each other. So there's a possibility that Mel Charlo and him may be lined up right after him and Spence rematch.
The question is, how long do you wait? I mean, boxing, they usually fight 3 times a year, so they could
it's going to be a while.
6 months.
So the other thing is, UFC 291 prelims was the second most viewed event in TV history.
Oh.
TV history.
I don't know who fought.
So, who fought? Well, Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje had a brutal kick of Poirier.
I know who Poirier is.
And for the BMF title.
Okay.
And now there's talk that Gaethje and Conor McGregor, might have a fight. Because he's doing tough right now. So him and Michael Chandler. Him and Michael Chandler are doing tough right now.
Which is the TV show.
So
right,
they're planning a fight against each other soon.
Okay.
Once everything is over. So
that'd be cool.
Right now,
I always like
there's a rumor going around that for big money, McGregor and Gaethje.
Yeah, the only way you're going to get McGregor in a ring at this point is big money because he might not be the fighter he was, but his name is still there. Mm-hmm. Like, you put McGregor in a ring, and you'll get idiots like me to buy a fight.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just hoping he wins. He's not going to, but...
And then the next thing is he could possibly face Islam Makhachev, which is the light heavyweight champion.
Okay.
And then Poirier actually believes that Gaethje can beat him. So that might actually be the match that we end up getting. And that might be a really good one.
Next you're a belt fight.
Yeah, now you're going to go for the belts. And Makhachev faces Charles Oliveira for their rematch in October in Abu Dhabi. Alex Pereira defeats light heavyweight champ Jan Blachowicz in his 205 light heavyweight debut because
so many divisions.
So he was in the 185 division against Israel Adesanya, the last outlander who just recently beat him in November. So he actually went up in weight to the next class, and he's already the number 2, and he's likely going to be facing Jamal Hill, who is the champion.
Well, all right.
So he's moving up quickly, and
seems like it'd be easier to gain weight and muscle in a sport like that than to cut weight.
Oh, 100%, yeah. And that is I did have that down, McGregor and Michael Chandler. That is all I have on that. Now you want to talk about Saudi Arabia and golf, right?
No. I wasn't even going to get into golf. I haven't paid much attention.
Neither
I was going to get into Saudi Arabia and the insane soccer money they've been throwing around. Because, as we all know, Lionel Messi came to America.
Yeah.
Lionel Messi, in my career field now that you all know that I started out in my hotel job, thank you to S&K Consulting for helping me make that happen. I work with a property in Miami, and we had to hesitate with how we set up certain things because of what Lionel Messi brings. Like, they didn't realize, as people that live there, what the international pool that Lionel Messi is going to bring. And so that's getting interesting because now I get in a call with them, and they'll go, Mr. Steven, this guy's everywhere. Like, we don't know anything about soccer, but we all know who Lionel Messi is. And so we've watched Saudi Arabia lately dip into this large pool of money that, as a country, I guess, they put aside to blow up their sports leagues, and they brought Cristiano Ronaldo over. They've brought other big-name players in that aren't as big as those, but one of the guys they went after recently, and it was well noted all over the world, was the contract they offered to Kylian Mbappe.
Mm-hmm. They
offered to pay $300 million for the transfer fee. And then a 1-year contract up to $771 million. The total evaluation of the deal was like $1.1 billion. And he turned it down. And now...
Oh, he did?
He turned it down.
Oh, wow.
He declined it. He has a $60 million loyalty bonus for PSG that if he's on their roster on the 1st of August, which he is, they owe him $60 million now for being loyal to their cause and staying with the team. Now, most people think he also has a contract lined up with Real Madrid. And so as soon as he's done, he's going to leave and go to Real Madrid. I heard people go all kinds of ways. If you're 24 years old and seen as one of the future superstars or already a superstar in your game, do you take the money, considering that you've made $205 million in just soccer money already at 24 years old and won the World Cup? Or do you continue to push for your legacy? Because that's why he turned it down. He came out and said that going to Saudi Arabia, great, the money is awesome. but I want to be great. And nobody great plays their prime in Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Like that was the essential. That wasn't the exact wording, but like that's what he said is that basically I want to go play in Spain, England, one of those places to prove that I am one of the best to ever do this.
Yeah.
And so when you consider not even factoring in his endorsement money and everything, I respect it. I respect that he was willing to come out and say, no, I love this game, and I love what I want my name to mean in the annals of history of this sport, or whatever the word I was looking for there is. A lot of people gave him backlash for turning down that kind of money. But props, kid.
Props, yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
Go out there and tell the world, look what I can do. Like, I want to go win trophies in all these countries that matter. He's already got a World Cup. Hell, we've seen his numbers in the World Cup. At 24, he's one of the greatest scorers we've ever seen in the history of the World Cup. Like, he probably will have a shot at another one in 2028. 2028, right? No. 2020. Yeah, no. It's every 4 years. 2026?
Yeah.
It's coming up soon.
Okay, 26.
It's in a few years because America's going to be it. With that said, America's star, Pulisic, he went to AC Milan along with Mustafa, their 20-year-old stud defender. So the two of them have now teamed up. Tyler Adams and two other Team USA guys are now on Leeds United in England. So the U.S., we didn't talk about it because we weren't on, but they won that big event leading into the one that Mexico won. The one that Mexico won is a joke term, like the Copa or whatever.
Oh, okay.
That one's kind of a joke. Most teams send their B rosters to it, like Pulisic. All those guys didn't play. The only starter that the U.S. sent was Matt Turner. Jesus Ferreira plays for the guy that he scored like crazy in that event. Plays for FC Dallas. Like, he's like 28.
Okay.
No. He probably won't even make the actual World Cup roster.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, it was, the only thing that brought me to Saudi Arabia, though, was seeing that it was just cool to see an athlete take the time to say, no, my career and how it ends all together means more to me than the money because I will make the money elsewhere.
Right.
So, just want to take time to give the kid this credit. Like, that's awesome. Like, I don't know that majority of athletes nowadays do that. I think that you have a select number of people that are willing to turn away that kind of money because it is guaranteed money. It's $700 million in guaranteed money. It's generational. I mean, you're taking care of your family's family, essentially.
Right.
24 years old, he knows he can get it back. Like,
100%.
Just in endorsement deals, I'm sure he'll end up signing someone with he'll end up with an Adidas deal for a lifetime because he's a soccer player or something like that. So, and that's not even counting. That goes into what we talked about because Messi turned down like $700 million to go there also to come to America with his family and all that. In his first two games in Inter Miami, he scored 3 goals and led them to 2 wins, kicking a game winner on a free kick. They're not even done. Supposedly Luis Suarez, who's like one of Messi's best friends, is waiving his decision to retire to the idea of coming to Inter Miami. Basically, Inter Miami is just putting together the Barcelona team from the early mid 2000s that was stupid good and just going, you're all good enough still to win in America. Yeah. And so it's entertaining. Like, I know that soccer isn't the big deal in America necessarily that it is in other countries, but it's time to get into it. Like, I really think that if people would sit down and learn the game, it's a fun game to watch, and we're getting star power here. Like, it's the price of a ticket for an Inter Miami game the minute Messi signed went from $37 to $485. And then, do you know who owns Inter Miami, like the co-owner?
I would say, Jay-Z?
Nah, David Beckham.
Oh, well, that makes sense then.
So, David Beckham now sits on the sideline of all the Inter Miami. Yeah, one of the first guys that kicked that threshold door. Like, he came to the LA Galaxy. Him, and then you had Ibrahimovic, which his retirement was great. Were we doing the show when he retired?
I don't think so.
His retirement statement, the day he retired, it was raining outside. And he commented on Twitter on only what Ibrahimovic could do.
Yeah.
Even God is sad that Ibrahimovic is done playing soccer. Like, only Zoltan Ibrahimovic has that kind of balls.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, I mean, I will say, just if you haven't given it a chance, give it a chance because you're gonna want to know what's going on in 2026 when the World Cup gets here. Because I've said it once, I've said it twice now. The U.S. is playing games. When this World Cup gets here, you're gonna go in as one of the 10 best teams in the world, and it's not gonna be can the U.S. make the qualifying round. It's gonna be does the U.S. have a shot at bringing home the World Cup on their home turf. And just don't miss out and become the fair weather guy. Learn now, because it's gonna be fun to watch. I think
I'm gonna be the fair weather guy.
Are you? I won't. I've been paying attention more and more, just getting ready for it because I know it's got that coming. So, but all right, what you got?
All right, we got NCAA football.
Oh yeah, we do have to get a little bit of that because we're coming up on games.
Football? Yeah, we do. How about Jim Harbaugh out for 4 weeks? Meh.
Playing nobody.
Yeah.
It won't affect their season at all.
They're playing East Carolina, who was 7th in the AAC last year. They're playing UNLV, who was 4th in the Mountain West.
Yeah.
Bowling Green, who was 3rd in the Mid-American. And then Rutgers, who was last in the Big Ten. That's who they're playing. That's who Jim Harbaugh is, or Michigan is missing with Jim Harbaugh. So no one cares. All right, here's the big news. Colorado is leaving the Pac-12 for the Big 12 in 2024.
Are?
Yeah.
Yes. It'll be fun.
Here's what the rumors are. ACC's Clemson and FSU. Pac-12's Oregon and Washington could be moving to the Big Ten as well.
Okay.
The Clemson and the FSU doesn't make sense to me. But
I don't think the
Oregon
Clemson
and Washington do.
My problem that we're running into now is the proximity. Like, I understand how easy it is for these people to travel and to do all that.
Yeah,
but I didn't like the idea of USC and UCLA exactly.
Yeah.
The end of the day, they're still students.
Yeah.
Like, they have to go to class Monday. Like, not all of them I know don't go to class. Some of them don't, but not every guy on these teams is going to the NFL. 99.8% aren't even going to sniff the league.
Right.
So they have to go to class Monday. They're not all getting NIL deals. So I just don't. I have a hard time getting behind the idea that the Pac-12 schools that are on this coastline here that are 3 hours behind in some cases have to jump on a plane, fly to Penn State, play Penn State, and then fly home the next day and just be expected to be, hey, hope you slept good on Sunday because you got it. No, because on Sunday morning, what are they going to have to do? Go to the training room, get their game film for the next week's game, do all that stuff. Oh, and hold a passing GPA without the school getting onto them. Like, at some point or another, being a college athlete is a full-time job. Like, excluding the school part, it is a full-time job. These guys that graduate with masters or even double majors and everything else, they're freaks. Like, it's insane. Like, I slept in college just going to college. Like, that's my biggest issue of all of it, is the travel implications that we're starting to see by building these super conferences.
And that's where I have the issue with Clemson and FSU.
Yes.
Like, they're way too off of that.
You tell me that when Clemson plays Oregon, that's literal opposite sides of the country.
Yeah.
Like, that's the Dolphins playing the Seahawks. Like, what are we doing here? Like, you might as well make these games neutral site games and start playing them in St. Louis and shit. Like,
it's possible. It's possible. But if this did end up happening, that would mean that Ohio State, Michigan, Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Nebraska, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington, maybe Clemson and FSU, all in one division. That would rival the SEC.
It would rival the names, but I don't think it brings as good a football still. But at the same time, I think if Clemson and Florida State went to the SEC, because that would regionally make more sense, I think they both get their butts kicked. I think Clemson would be closer.
And that was the other thing that I had with Clemson is, why would you leave the AAC where you're dominating every year
and you're
always in the championship talk? Why would you leave to go somewhere else to make more money when you're always in the competition?
Because for the school, it's all about the money. The school will make more money by playing those big schools every week, win or lose, than they will that. And that's the sad part about how it's all going. But I mean, at some point, the Pac-12 is just going to.
The government's still got to.
We're gonna lose the Pac-12 because what's going to end up happening is Arizona State will end up with the Big 12.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what's going to happen. The Big 12 is going to come in. Yeah. As soon as you already lost USC, UCLA, so that's going to be an issue. The Big 12 is missing the opportunity right now to go. Here's how we salvage our conference: Arizona State, getting that section of the country there.
You just brought in Colorado, so why not?
Just brought in Colorado. Yeah. Bring those schools in. Talk to they already brought BYU in, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, but bringing in Arizona does not help you for football. God, when Kansas plays Arizona in basketball, though, we all gonna watch. Woo!
That is true.
That's the part that people forget is that when you bring all these schools in, we go to football. There's other sports. And Arizona is a perennial powerhouse in basketball.
Yeah.
Arizona State is a contender in all levels in most sports. They're one of those teams that never super, but always decent at everything. So they're always going to hold their own. There's schools out there that can still find ways to make these other conferences money because, like we said, the Pac-12's done. I can't even think about who's still in the Pac-12 with Arizona State gone. It's saying, Arizona State or Oregon State wouldn't be gone, I guess. So you have to beat.
You have Oregon State, Wazoo.
Washington.
No, Washington's part of it.
Oh, Washington.
Oregon and Washington.
Oh, I thought you said another school. My bad. Yeah, so you have
the
Washington State.
The Big Ten. Who was it? The
Pac-12.
Pac-12. All right, we got Arizona State, California, Oregon State, Stanford.
So Cal, Stanford,
Utah,
Arizona State, and Arizona. You would want to get all of them in the Pac-12. At this point, if you're Washington State, you better hope you get into the Mountain West.
Yeah.
You got to play. At some point, you have to play the regional battle. Someone's going to have to account for that. I can kind of see why USC can just say, we're USC, we can afford it. UCLA, we can afford it. But on the topic of Oregon, because I know you love this name, did you see who committed to the 2025 Oregon class?
I did not.
One Achilles Smith Jr.
Really?
His son.
No, I didn't see that.
Yeah, Achilles Smith's
son. Is he a
son.
linebacker too?
He's quarterback.
Oh.
But I know you were an Achilles Smith fan,
yep.
And he is committed to play quarterback for the University of Oregon in 2025.
I was thinking Takeo Spikes. Achilles Smith, okay.
And Achilles Smith has come out and said that his son came out and said, I'm ready to bring a championship to Eugene. So, I thought you liked that one as a little high school prospect nugget for you. Yeah, but
was he like a 3 or 4 star?
4-star quarterback, 2025 class. So not this year, but next year. Like I said, I was in work. I try to talk to people all over the country, and I have property in that area. And he was the general manager was excited about the signing of him because he was like, nowadays with NIL, I don't trust any of these kids until they step in the building. But with Achilles Smith's son, it's like, oh, he's coming. I don't have to doubt that one.
Yeah.
So
hell yeah,
that was a pretty cool one. And then, other than that, it's going to be a good season. You got a lot of true contenders, some that make me gross to think about college-wise. You got Ohio State's always good. Georgia, how do you sleep on the Georgia Bulldogs?
Yeah, you can't.
Alabama, questionable. I think you could. Texas has the ability to have their quarterback play themselves into the top 10. I think that.
Oh, I think they'll be in the.
They better do it now because they're stuck. They suck next year.
I think they'll be in the top 6.
You think they'll be a top 16?
I don't think they'll be top 5. I think they'll be right outside the top 5.
I don't think they're better than Georgia. I don't think they're better than. I don't know if they're better than Ohio State. I think they're better than Michigan. I don't know that they beat USC. I think that USC comes down to Caleb Williams, just is that good of a football player.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're better than LSU. I think LSU has a stupidly good roster. Yes, I'm a fan, but LSU had a very good season last year, and they kept most of that young talent. So they're going to be a team to watch. Clemson will be – it'll just depend for Clemson what they get out of the quarterback play. That's been their issue last couple of years. There's been inconsistency there.
Yeah. I still say that they're going to be top 6.
I think that I don't know. This gives Oklahoma a little more chance looking at them. I don't think Oklahoma's going to be anything. Penn State, Oregon, I'm not too worried about most of those schools. I think it's a 6-team race, but this is the last year of the 4-team playoff, right?
Yes.
This is our last year of a 4-team playoff and the last time that Texas and OU play in the Big 12. So Texas and OU better do it now because they're screwed next year anyway.
Yeah.
When they go to the SEC and they
have
to play... Yeah, they got money, but now they're going to play LSU. They're going to play Arkansas, which Arkansas is hit or miss, but LSU, Alabama, all the... yeah, have fun. So that'll be Tennessee could be interesting. They got some decent pieces. TCU will be done. I don't think they come back and repeat it.
Tennessee, to me, you lost Cedric Tillman, Jalen Hyatt.
They lost a lot of pieces of their quarterback.
But you lost 3 legitimate pieces.
They did, but there's a lot of love for the kid that's becoming the quarterback.
That's okay, but you lost 3 legitimate pieces.
True.
That were
3 guys that are on
offense.
NFL rosters at this point.
That were integral to your offense. You're going to see some struggles this year with Tennessee. They might be back the year after. I think this is going to be one of those years where just because they lost so many others, those 3 main starters, that was their offense. Like, losing them is going to be a big thing for them.
Yeah. So, but other than that, well, I mean, I think that's something as we get closer to time, we can definitely start diving into the big games and all that more. I think that pretty much does it. Get a kind of a recap, a touch on what's coming. We're excited for football season, both college and pro, playoff baseball. I mean, we're going to definitely get to have topics of playing matchups coming, players coming, and all that fun stuff. So, looking forward to it. Definitely, as we already dropped a couple of fun little fantasy nuggets, I'm sure the 2 of us are big fantasy football players. We don't want to give away the guys we like, but we're not in a league together this year. So we can't rob each other's draft strategies by dropping knowledge bombs. So I will drop knowledge bombs. I didn't get an invite yet, but I'm not in that Facebook chat anymore. Remember, a new Facebook page.
I control it.
Oh, yeah, new Facebook page. You gotta be right. Oh, well, apparently we are, but that's low budget.
I'm the commissioner.
I forgot about the off-topic sports league. We'll be in that one together. So, who knows? Maybe if we get a bunch of people that hit us up, we start one of those little free knockout leagues or something for the show watchers and have a little bit of fun with the participants and all that. So, other than that, I think that's about it. Everybody, y'all have a good one and peace.